So today we look at a beta version. So it's the first time in a webinar that we show not a release product. And I like today to introduce the new changes that we are expecting for the latest version that is planned to release the next month. And you can be a beta tester. So if you are interested in testing it out, you can ask us. So if you didn't get the email from yesterday announcement, just feel free to send an email to support@vestusa.com. So let me start. I will do a small comparison with the CAD 2020, and we'll see a bit of how these changes are impacting. So one at first glance, we have lost one menu. In 2020, we had introduced a menu called symbols, which was supposed to help with symbol creation. But in reality, it ended up with creating some troubles with people, with user coming from HyDraw CAD 2019 to 2020. And now we have removed because we made the workflow for symbol creation much smoother, and we will see how it works now with the newer version. So in terms of ribbon, we have the standard circuit system and services on top. We have some new commands, like in the system tab, let me highlight. We have a new command called connector. We'll see later. So basically with this command, we are able to create a list of pipe and tubes or hose, taking information from connection lines. This has always been a weakness for HyDraw CAD. We had never been able to extract information from directly from the connection line. We always had the need to place symbols to get a list of components. Now with this function, we are able to collect the information and also routing information, and we'll see in a minute. In terms of user interface, another very important aspect is in the options, where we have divided all the options in document settings and application settings. In the previous versions, all the settings were mixed up, so it was not clear to user eyes which settings were related to the document that you were working on and which settings were related to the application. So in the application settings, we will find, as always, library path, search criteria, display format, and all what was already in previous versions of HyDraw CAD. In the list and charts, we have a new item called connector list, where you can configure and create a custom pipe and tube list or a hose list, together with the old hose assembly list. So we still have that functionality of creating a hose list, hose assembly list, but now we have a new functionality called connector list, pipe and tubes. The rest is the same in terms of functionalities. In terms of document settings, we have a new setting under connection line. It is called the distance between lines. And this one is a new feature that is very welcome because it helps with saving time when doing connection line. So basically with these settings, HyDraw CAD will try to keep 4 mm distance between parallel connection lines, starting from the same symbol. And I show you an example. There is another setting here, line ID and properties. And I'll show you later. So basically, now we have the possibility to display the properties, the attribute of a connection line directly on top of the connection line. And if the connection line is very long, we can have the information for the connection line at start and at the end of the connection line. Let's start looking at a bit of functionality for connection lines. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them. I will try to answer during the explanation. So let me show you what was the behavior for HyDraw CAD 2020. So basically in HyDraw CAD 2020, when we were placing a symbol, let me just look for Bosch Rexroth 4W6J, and I place my symbol. And now I do search for a cylinder. And I was trying to make automatic connection lines from A to C and from B to R. The second line creation was never considering what had already been created. So there was always this overlapping of connection line. And so an extra command needed. And also if later you wanted to rotate, maybe if the symbols rotate right, again, additional functionality, additional commands to position properly our connection line. This has been heavily improved in 2020. Let me do the same. And now we notice something different. In the previous version, there was a small arrow that was supposed to enter in the search. So it was like if search for symbol and search for component were not the same kind of approach. So we remove that. We have this button with 3 dots. So we have always the search for symbol like a cylinder. We can type in and find the cylinder. If we want to do a different search, we click here, and this will open the search in Fluid Power Tools or in the local database. If you want to get back, you just click on the red cross, or you end up with searching for model data. Let me do the same search, like 4W6J, always the same. And again, we can find the symbol. And now there is another change in the way you navigate here. So if you want to get back to symbols, you just click the X. So by clicking here, you end up to the symbol search. In the past, it was always a lot of click to get back to symbols in HyDraw CAD 2020 and previous. Now you really, if you want to get back to symbols only, you click on the cross. While if you are in a search and you want to get back to the search, you just click on the back search, and you end up going back to the previous stage of the search. This is an improvement in the user interface. A hidden improvement is with the search engine. So when you search for components in Fluid Power Tools, you need to make sure that you type in the proper wording. For instance, in HyDraw CAD 2020, if you wanted to look for a DG4V3 percent 6C, you had to really type also the -3, otherwise you were not able to enter in a search result. So if I do the same search, DGV4V3 percent 6C, this will end up with nothing, because the way we spell the model code is not correct. We improved a bit, so we made the search in 2021 independent on some special character. So for instance, if we do the same search, DG4V3 percent 6C, this search was returning no result in 2020, but now this will find all the Eaton valves. So even if you misspell, there is a chance that you always get to a search result. Also, another common search was check valve, Bosch Rexroth MSR. You had always to put the minus, otherwise you were not getting anything. Now you just type MSR, and this will end up with a search criteria. This will end helping and saving time during search. But let's get back to connection line, and let's see how HyDraw CAD 2021 is behaving differently for connection line. So remember, I made a connection between A and C and B and R. Let's do the same in 2021. I connect A with C, and B with R. So now the connection is staying with a 4 mm distance, and it is controlled. If we move the symbol, the connection will, if we do a rotation of the symbol, the connection will rotate in a better way. And so as you can see, we try to save time when doing move or rotate or mirror of symbols in order to simplify the connection lines. We also changed the way the rotate symbol works. So let me show you here, for example. Let me rotate this on the left. So now you see that the item ID has rotated and moved from the right, it went up. So in this way, we try to minimize the change in position of information for the symbol. If we do the same in the whole HyDraw CAD 2020, let me copy. Let me clean up this. And we rotate to the left, we see that the item ID is always staying in that position. So we rotate to the left and it's there. So the chance that this item ID and the information will overlap with something else in the diagram is very high. So usually when you rotate a symbol, you always have to move the item ID or the attributes. Now we have changed the behavior. We apply a rotation also on the position for item ID and the display formats. And if you notice, the Sonal text now has rotated vertically. So basically, if you have defined the display format for a symbol inside the boundary of the symbol itself, then the display formats will rotate together with the symbol in order to keep the same standard geometry that you want to expect for that particular symbol. So we hope that this will help and save time when doing editing or modification on a symbol. The same logic of rotate, flip is applied to other situation. Let me do another thing. Let's say copy. And let me rotate it to the right. Let me copy another cylinder. And let me create connection lines. If you flip this symbol, and now the connection will get relocated and routed outside the symbol in order to save time. And of course, in this case, then I can move the symbol down, and this will try to keep the connection. Sometimes it may still overlap with other symbols in the diagram. It is this new behavior is always only checking the connection line made between the two symbols that are involved in this change. But we are trying to improve, and there may be other situations that are not well managed. But feel free to test and give us feedback on how these functionalities are working. I see a question. Let me. So the connection will stay connected with a symbol. So in this case, when you move the symbol, the connection will not break. They simply will get routed according to the new location of the symbol. And of course, you can select all and move or group. That's a standard AutoCAD behavior. And if you edit the symbol, like we do a block editor, we enter in the block editor, we can do a change in the symbol, any change. Let's say that I want to create a rectangle here and close the block editor, and that is not changing anything. So the connection is always made with a symbol. So in this case, there is no change with respect to previous versions of HyDraw CAD. Let's talk a bit about connection lines. So since beginning, HyDraw CAD connection line had the possibility to have information for pipe and tube and line IDs and so on. So now the big change is here. We can always retrieve information from connection line, and you can add your dimension and materials. So in this case, I have some piping, standard, extra strong, or XX, double XS, or I can have some tubes or a hose. I put some Parker hose. Let's say that I want to select by pressure. Let's say that I need 200 bar and 20 liter per minute and 5 meter per second pressure. So as you can see, I can sort by velocity, by part number, or in this case, let me take this size, 8 size, and I click OK. Now the text, the display text by default is overlapping with the connection line, so it gives better clarity. And also, if you select the connection line and maybe you add a label to the connection line, let's say B1, then the label will be displayed before the connection line. You can move the text anywhere in the connection line. And if you move the symbol, then the text will move to the next segment that have enough length to have the text position. With the options, HyDraw option, that options that I was showing here show on both ends if the length is more than 120 millimeter, or you can change it. So basically, if you switch this option on, if the connection line is very long, let me do an example, and let me retrieve information, any kind of pipe and tube. Now the information is displayed for all the segments, for a start and end point of the segment. And if you put a line ID, let's say this line is called a P12, then the same P12 is displayed at the end and at the start of the connection line. So like we did, we have always been doing for components, where from a component I am able to retrieve information from the database or Fluid Power Tools database. We have the same possibility for connection lines. So we select a connection line and we define which type of connection line we want. Let's say that's a tube. We can select the material. We can enter with a pressure and flow and filter what we need. Let's say I need this tube, and now the tube is displayed. Now I put a label, and let's see how the connector list is working now. So this request came from some of our customers that were needing to create a list of piping with also connection information. So basically, if we want to make a connector list on all the diagram, and we want a pipe and tube list, of course, we have the possibility to define our format in the HyDraw options. We can click next, and now we see a preview. As always, we can export to Excel, and we can place the list here. So the pipe and tube list is listing the line ID, which is the label T12, and the nominal size, and also from to. So it's listing the component and the port from which it is connecting to. We had divided the connector list into pipe and tubes and hose. So in my system, I have also hose list, so I can make a hose list. And now the line is B1. There is only one hose. Let me put it here. B1 cut length, and again it is customizable, so you can put whichever information that is available here can be added to the hose list or to the pipe and tube list. Now let me explain the other changes that we have in the build symbol mode, edit symbol in the library, and so on. Because this is a big change, and actually I like much more now the new design, because it is yeah, it's more logic. We really removed a ribbon. So since up to HyDraw CAD 2019, it was possible to edit a symbol just by right-click in the library and click edit. In 2020, we tried to enhance the symbol creation process by adding a specific menu, which was here, symbols, components, and we entered in a mode of managing components and editing symbols. So here we were able to edit, delete, modify, add new symbols. But this Explorer was different from the Library Explorer. So now we made a step back and improved the Library Explorer, and now it is possible to do everything directly in the Library Explorer. So basically, if you want to edit a symbol, you just enter in a library edit mode. So it's one command only, and you enter in a edit mode. Now the symbol is here. Let's say that I can delete, add a new symbol, or edit. If I need to edit a symbol in the library, then it will open in edit symbol mode. So we added some cosmetic items. So this light blue bar on top. So it's clear that we are in edit symbol mode. Once we are in edit symbol mode, a set of new commands is showing up, which help with new symbol creation. If needed, we can change the component type. This has never been possible within HyDraw CAD. If by mistake you select a wrong component type, the only way to fix was doing again or going to the library manager. Now you can change the component type. On the right, we always have the building blocks, which you can use to place in the drawing. The grid in edit symbol mode is much thinner, so it's easier to use a snap, and it should be easier to use. As you see, there is a new icon, which is the insertion point. So insertion point has always been something of a mystery in the symbols. Now, really, there is one dedicated command to place, to define the insertion point, which is called insertion point. And you just click insertion point and change the insertion point of the symbol. Next time you use this symbol, this will be the insertion point. In edit symbol mode, we now display the unit. And although most of the user may be consistent with only metric or only imperial, I remember some support in the past where there was a bit of confusion between which units is used in the library. So in this case, edit master symbol will display which unit. We added some commands like a fluid line. So if you need to define fluid lines inside a symbol, you use commands. And these are the ISO 1219 defined colors and line types. Or you can define an envelope. Of course, everything can be made also with standard AutoCAD commands in this case, but it's handy, and it was important to have in the symbol editor, so that you don't need to be an expert of AutoCAD to draw a symbol with HyDraw CAD. Match properties is very interesting because it's now here, so you can use it to apply same definition to entities. Again, this is the same AutoCAD command that is part of the engine since beginning, but now it's put in this ribbon. In addition, you can add display formats, so like cylinder size, and these display formats are related to the components, to the component type. So you can place the display format on the drawing directly, and this is where the position of the display format will be for this particular symbol. And like I explained before, if the position is within the boundaries of the symbol, when you rotate the symbol, also this text will rotate together with the symbol. Again, we can save changes or discard changes if we don't want to apply any change to our symbol. In edit symbol mode, we have the possibility to rename folders, or we can move folders up and down by using this dialog. But now there is no more need to open a different dialog and close and place. So it's easier now to do everything that we need, create new symbols or just use the symbols. So basically also in edit mode, we can place symbols and use them in our diagram. So there is no more that insert as exploded items that was part of the old behavior. How to add model data to a symbol. So this is not different from what we have already in HyDraw CAD 2020 and before. Let's say that we need a check valve, check % screen type, and we say this is our check valve. We can type in model data information. Let's say this is a HyDraw for CV10-20 minus whatever it is. If you have part numbers linked in a different Excel file, you can also use it. Update from Excel on this, including all. And I can find in my spreadsheet several additional molecules. Let's take this one and update. So now I have a complete molecule, model family, description, and let's say that the cavity is a VC10-2. And now I can save it to my library. I need a manufacturer, of course, HyDraw. And I can save to my library. Now this item is in my library. So I can search for it. So I can go into my local database and search for my CV10-20 and search, and I find it. And then when I place it again, I have item 7.1 and 7.2 in my diagram with relevant information. So this can be done for symbols that are already in the library, or anything new that you put in the library. You just insert the symbol, type in model data, and save to the library. So in this case, it's done. So this save is made to your local database. If you need a component in fluidpowertools.com, the online database, just feel free to ask, and we are adding, we keep adding items to Fluid Power Tools. I see. So if I'm missing, let's do that. If I miss an attribute here, this is part of Library Manager. So let me open Library Manager, and let me verify that I'm in the same deal. Components. I can go to component types. Let's say for the check valve screen cartridge, I want a new attribute, and the new attribute is maybe the port size. Where is it? Port size. Okay. And now the port size is part of my data set. I can save. And now any check valve that I place have the port size. But if you need information about Library Manager, we had 2 sessions for Library Manager, so it's you could look at our videos that we have in the website.